Oh, that's hot. Gotta love a good poop glove.
I'm just gonna ditch these and spend another $30 on gloves.
Everyone is made up of light. We simply need to find our best way to shine. The topic of dinghy choice has been a staple in conversation among Rite of Passage crew for quite some time. There will always be at least 4 or 5 of us on board, and sometimes there might be as many as 7 or 8. Because we don't plan on staying in marinas often, solving the problem of getting to and from shore is crucial. If we had all the money in the world, we'd simply buy a new 11-foot rigid inflatable. But we don't, and spending nearly $4,000 for a small craft seems like a large chunk of our sailing kitty gone right away. We already have one 8-foot inflatable that we used on our last trip. And a few years ago, while I was sailing in the Keys, I picked up an old fiberglass dinghy that is in need of some serious repair. We've decided it might be best to simply work with what we have. This means restoring the old fiberglass dinghy and turning it into a sailing dinghy. We immediately began restoration of the old fiberglass dink. I had most of the parts laying around from other small sailboats and a pile of teak to sort through from an old Choi Lee that I attempted to restore. After power washing the hull, we set to grinding off all of the old paint and the top coat. Each time I do fiberglass, I tell myself that this is going to be the last time I'll ever do it. Unfortunately, that sentiment has never stuck, and I find myself laying in bed itchy once again.
We are making sure the dinghy never ever sinks by stuffing in this recycled foam.
So right now it's just gonna float nose up, so we should probably put some in the back too.
We contemplated whether or not to add more flotation under the seats midship and aft, but decided we probably had enough in the front, and that we should take it to the lake for a test, to see how the sail positioning was. Our first impression was that we had somehow blended together a herd of derelict and broken down dinghies into one hybrid sailing craft that was surprisingly responsive. Other than a few adjustments needed to the rudder, jib sheet handling, and main traveler, it seemed as though we were close to the finish line with our design and restoration of the new sailing dinghy. After sailing for years on small dinghies that needed constant attention and were not set up to lock the boom into place, I was excited to design a set it and forget it rig. It set alright. It set so good that during one of the all too common strong Nebraska wind gusts, it took us right over and into the water we went. Immediately upon entering the water, and while watching our poor little craft bob helplessly, I frantically tried to open the hatch where I'd stowed away a buoy just in case the dinghy went down. Was the preparation of a marker buoy a bit of foreshadowing? Maybe, or perhaps I simply didn't trust our design. Nevertheless, after Amanda talked me out of opening the storage locker, I was able to calm down enough to see that the sinking had stopped. The positive flotation worked. We learned a lot while testing the dinghy that day. Primarily, that when you take a boat out on the water, it doesn't matter how many bailing devices, life jackets, or emergency gear you have prepared if they can't be reached when you need them. Or, in our case, if they blow away before you can use them. The most important lesson we walked away with that day is this. While our sailing dinghy was going to be a great tool for teaching and a blast to use for recreation, it wasn't going to be safe enough to transport crew and cargo in rough conditions. It was time to bite the bullet and buy a new dinghy. We went with a 10-foot Hypalon rigid floor dinghy, which was on sale at West Marine and supposedly would last much longer than the PVC model. We ordered a new dinghy a couple days ago and we just came to pick it up with the van, so we'll see if it fits on top of the van. Feel safe about our strap job? No, why? We're almost back to the marina. I was totally that kid who unwrapped my Christmas presents late at night and re-wrapped them because the suspense absolutely killed me. So of course I had to unbox the new dinghy, inflate it, and hang it from the davits. Outside?
Is it?
Yeah. Oh, it's kind of tippy though. I don't know how I feel about that.
You were ridiculous.
Whoa! Who designed this boat? I'd never owned a boat with davits before, so it was kind of a big deal to see the shiny new dink hanging off the stern. You're doing a good job.
Is the line clogged?
Maybe.
You didn't start it in gear, did you?
And I have
Or
a
what?
throttle the wrong way.
No fucking way. Brenton.
It's a new motor for me. I thought it read weird.
Didn't you look at the pictures? What's up, Brenton?
Having a fast dinghy is pretty much the coolest thing in the world. You wanna see how fast it goes?
Yep.
Ready?
Ready.
Having a fast dinghy is almost as much fun as having a sailing dinghy, albeit slightly less economical and far less environmentally friendly. I had a blast testing the motor and cruising down the ICW at nearly 3 times the speed that Michael and I motored down the same spot 6 months before. That is, until the motor started acting up.
Don't go over there. Okay.
Dun, dun, dun. Put it in neutral. Try it again.
I think it just popped out of gear.
Maybe just don't run it so high.
Alright, yeah, I'll try that.
I mean, we ran it really high for a while.
We should be able to run it high.
But it was at high revs. It sounded like it to me.
Yeah.
Like it was working harder than it should be. We've been working it harder than it should be. And
True.
being stored
Without
like
tuning it, yeah.
Yeah, and the car's probably dirty.
Our prop was slipping bad, and with each twist of the throttle it got worse. Inspection the next day revealed a stripped hub. Think of riding a bike where all the teeth are stripped out on a crank. The chain just simply isn't going to grip. In the sailing world, there's a well-used saying: the cruising lifestyle is nothing more than working on your boat in exotic locations, or something like that. It seems that dinghies are not exempt from this paradox. No complaints here though.